The crayon rolls across the floor for the third time, and I'm starting to think Sophie Carter is doing it on purpose. Oops, she whispers, those enormous brown eyes going wide with practiced innocence. At 5 years old, she's already mastered the art of calculated chaos. I crouch down to retrieve the purple crayon from under the art table, my knees protesting. 27 years old and my body already moves like I'm twice that age. That's what happens when you work 2 jobs and survive on 4 hours of sleep. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Sophie, I say gently, pressing the crayon back into her small hand. If you drop it one more time, we're switching to markers. And you know what happens with markers. Her face scrunches up. Last week's marker incident resulted in her looking like a tiny abstract painting by the end of art time. I'll be careful, Miss Emma. I promise. That's my girl. I ruffle her dark curls and move to check on the other students. Sunshine Kindergarten sits in a converted brownstone in Brooklyn, wedged between a bodega and a dry cleaner that always smells faintly of chemicals and broken dreams. The neighborhood isn't dangerous exactly, but it's not safe either. It's the kind of place where people mind their business, keep their heads down, and don't ask too many questions, which makes it perfect for families who need invisibility. The classroom erupts in controlled chaos, as 15 5-year-olds attempt to recreate autumn leaves with construction paper and glue. Jaden is eating the glue. Again. Marcus and Aiden are having a sword fight with rulers, and Lily Chen is crying because her leaf doesn't look real. This is my life. This beautiful, exhausting, underpaid life that I wouldn't trade for anything. Miss Emma. Jaden waves his glue-covered hands in the air. Look, I'm a glue monster. Jaden, buddy. We've talked about this. I grab the wet wipes, already moving on autopilot. Glue goes on paper, not on people. The classroom phone rings. I ignore it. Mrs. Henderson, the director, will get it. She always does. But then she appears in my doorway, her expression tight. Emma, can I see you for a moment? Something in her voice makes my stomach drop. I glance at my teaching assistant, Maria, who nods and takes over glue monster management. What's wrong? I ask once we're in the hallway. Mrs. Henderson's hands twist together. She's worked in early childhood education for 30 years, and I've never seen her look nervous. There's a man downstairs asking about Sophie Carter. My blood goes cold. What kind of man? Says he's her uncle. Says there's a family emergency and he needs to pick her up immediately. Mrs. Henderson's voice drops. Emma, Sophie's file says she only has one emergency contact. A man named Victor Ross, not an uncle. Sophie. Carter arrived at Sunshine Kindergarten 6 weeks ago in the middle of September, holding the hand of a man who introduced himself as her guardian. Victor Ross was tall, professional, spoke with a crisp British accent, and paid 6 months' tuition in cash. Sophie's mother passed away, he'd explained, his expression appropriately somber. Her father travels extensively for business and isn't able to provide daily care. I'm employed to ensure Sophie's well-being and education. It was unusual but not unheard of. Wealthy families sometimes hired full-time guardians. What struck me as odd was how Sophie never mentioned her father, never drew pictures of him, never said, "Daddy's coming home soon," like other kids with traveling parents. She talked about Victor constantly. Victor reads her stories. Victor makes funny voices. Victor lets her stay up late on Fridays to watch movies. But her father? A ghost. Where is this uncle now? I ask Mrs. Henderson. Waiting in the front office. He's getting agitated. Says it's urgent. Did you call Victor? Straight to voicemail. Her face is pale. Emma, my instincts are screaming. Something's wrong. Mine too. I've been teaching long enough to recognize when something doesn't fit. And a stranger claiming to be family when Sophie's file explicitly states she has no relatives? That doesn't just not fit. That's a siren blaring. Call the police, I say quietly. Tell them we have a potential custodial interference situation. I'll keep Sophie in the classroom. He's not going to like that. I don't care what he likes. My voice comes out harder than intended. That little girl's safety comes first. Always. I slip back into the classroom. Sophie is carefully gluing leaves onto her construction paper, her tongue poking out in concentration. She looks so small, so vulnerable. The thought of someone taking her, of her scared and crying and calling for help that doesn't come, makes something fierce and protective rise in my chest. Maria, I say casually, moving to stand between Sophie and the door. Can you take the kids to the reading corner? I think it's story time. Maria reads my expression and doesn't question it. All right, everyone. Let's clean up and move to the carpet. We're going to read about the very hungry caterpillar. The children scramble to put away supplies, their enthusiasm for story time overriding their attachment to glue and scissors. Sophie stands, but I gently touch her shoulder. Sophie, honey, can you help me organize these crayons first? She beams. Sophie loves being helpful. Okay, Miss Emma. We're sorting crayons by color when I hear it. Raised voices from downstairs. A man's voice, angry and insistent. Mrs. Henderson's voice, firm but frightened. Then footsteps. Heavy. Fast. Coming up the stairs. My heart hammers against my ribs. I position myself in front of Sophie, my mind racing. The classroom has one door. Windows that don't open wide enough for an adult. No other. Exit. The footsteps stop outside my door. Miss Emma? Sophie's voice is small. Why do you look scared? I'm not scared, sweetie. The lie tastes bitter. I just need you to do something for me, okay? Go sit with Maria and the other kids. Don't move until I say so. But the crayons. Now, Sophie. Something in my tone makes her obey. She scurries to the reading corner just as my classroom door swings open. The man who enters is broad-shouldered and expensively dressed, with cold eyes that scan the room like a predator assessing prey. His gaze lands on Sophie, and something shifts in his expression. Triumph. There you are, sweetheart. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Uncle Tony's here to take you home. Sophie shrinks against Maria. She doesn't recognize him. That tells me everything. I'm sorry, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding my system. But you're not on Sophie's pickup list. You'll need to leave. There's been a family emergency. He takes a step into the classroom. Her father sent me. Then her father can call the school and authorize the pickup through proper channels. I don't move from my position, blocking his path. Behind me, I hear Maria herding the children further into the corner, her voice soft and soothing despite her own fear. The man's expression hardens. Listen, lady, I don't have time for bureaucratic bullshit. The kid's coming with me. No. The word comes out flat. Final. She's not. For a moment, we stare at each other. I'm 5'4" and weigh maybe 120 pounds. He's easily twice my size. We both know he could physically overpower me in seconds. But there are 15 children watching. Witnesses. And somewhere downstairs, hopefully, the police are on their way. You're making a mistake, he says quietly, and there's a threat woven through the words like poison through silk. The only mistake would be letting you take that child. His hand moves toward his jacket. My breath catches. Is he reaching for a weapon? For identification? I don't know, and I can't let him get that far. I grab the closest thing within reach, a stapler from my desk, and hold it up like it's something far more dangerous. Don't. He actually laughs. You're going to fight me with a stapler? If I have to. My hand is shaking, but I keep it raised. The police are on their way. You have about 2 minutes to leave before this gets much worse for you. Something flickers in his eyes. Calculation. He's weighing his options. Grab Sophie and run, risking witnesses and police involvement, or retreat and try another approach. The sirens make his decision for him. This isn't over, he says, backing toward the door. Tell her father that Dmitry Volkov doesn't forget, and he doesn't forgive. Then he's gone, footsteps thundering down the stairs. I stand frozen, the stapler still clutched in my trembling hand, adrenaline making my vision swim. Behind me, Sophie is crying. Several other children have joined her, frightened by the tension they don't understand. Maria is already on the phone, presumably calling parents to pick up their traumatized kids early. And I'm just standing here, shaking, realizing I may have just made an enemy of someone whose name sounds like it belongs in a crime novel. The police arrive 3 minutes later. 2 officers, both looking skeptical when Mrs. Henderson explains the situation. So a man came to pick up his niece. The older officer says slowly, pen hovering over his notepad. And you refuse to release her? He's not her uncle, I say for the 3rd time. He's not on any of our authorized pickup lists. The child didn't recognize him, and he threatened us. Threatened how? He said this isn't over and mentioned someone named Dmitry Volkov. The younger officer's head snaps up. Volkov, are you sure? Yes. Why? Who is he? The officers exchange a glance. The older one clears his throat. We'll need to see all your documentation on the child. Emergency contacts, enrollment forms, everything. They won't tell me who Volkov is, but their sudden intensity tells me enough. If you're hooked on this story, Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. He's someone law enforcement knows, someone dangerous. It takes an hour to give statements, provide copies of Sophie's file, and calm down the parents who arrive to find police cars outside the school. Most are understanding. A few are angry, threatening to pull their kids from Sunshine Kindergarten because they don't want that kind of trouble. I don't blame them. I don't want that kind of trouble either. By 4 o'clock, the building is empty except for me, Mrs. Henderson, and Sophie. We've been trying to reach Victor Ross for hours. Every call goes to voicemail. Every text goes unanswered. Sophie sits in the reading corner, clutching a stuffed bear from our comfort basket. She hasn't spoken since the incident. Emma, Mrs. Henderson says quietly, we might need to call Child Protective Services. If we can't reach her guardian by 5. Give me 10 more minutes. I pull out my phone and try Victor's number again. This time, someone answers. But it's not Victor. Who is this? The voice is male, deep, with an edge that makes my spine straighten automatically. This is Emma Sterling. I'm Sophie Carter's teacher at Sunshine Kindergarten. I need to speak with Victor Ross immediately. Victor is unavailable. Then I need to speak with Sophie's father. There's been an incident. What kind of incident? The casual tone disappears, replaced by something cold and sharp. I explain quickly. The man claiming to be Sophie's uncle. His attempt to take her. The police involvement. As I talk, the silence on the other end becomes weighted, dangerous. Describe him, the voice demands when I finish. I relay what I remember. Height, build, the expensive suit, the cold eyes, the name Dmitry Volkov. The silence stretches so long I think the connection dropped. Then, is Sophie hurt? No, she's scared, but physically fine. Keep her there. Don't let her leave the building. Don't let anyone near her. The command is absolute. I'm sending someone. They'll arrive in 15 minutes. Wait, who are you? I can't just hand her over to... My name is Dante Caruso. I'm Sophie's father. And Miss Sterling? His voice drops lower. Thank you for protecting my daughter. Not many people would have stood against one of Volkov's men. The line goes dead. I stare at my phone, my mind reeling. Dante Caruso. Why does that name sound familiar? Mrs. Henderson is watching me with wide eyes. What did he say? He's sending someone to pick her up. I move to the window, scanning the street below. He said to keep her here, to keep her safe. Emma, you're shaking. I am. My whole body is trembling with delayed shock, and the realization that I just stepped into something far bigger and more dangerous than a simple custody dispute. I Googled Dante Caruso on my phone. The results make my stomach drop. Suspected organized crime figure. Alleged head of the Caruso family. Under investigation for racketeering, money laundering, and a dozen other charges that have never stuck because witnesses have a habit of disappearing. I just called a Mafia boss. And he's on his way here. The black SUV arrives in 12 minutes, not 15. I watch from the classroom window as it pulls up to the curb with the kind of confidence that says parking regulations don't apply. The vehicle is sleek, expensive, with windows tinted so dark they might as well be painted black. Emma, Mrs. Henderson's voice trembles. Maybe we should call the police back. And tell them what? That the child's legal guardian is here to pick her up? I can't look away from the SUV. We have no legal grounds to keep her. We have moral grounds. That man is a criminal. Alleged criminal, I correct automatically, though the distinction feels meaningless. And Sophie is his daughter. Unless Child Protective Services takes custody, which they won't without evidence of abuse or neglect. She goes home with her father. The driver's door opens first. A man emerges tall, built like he spends his life in a gym, wearing a dark suit that can't quite hide the bulk of what I suspect is a shoulder holster. He scans the street with the efficiency of someone trained to spot threats, then opens the rear passenger door. The man who steps out steals the breath from my lungs. Dante Caruso doesn't look like the grainy surveillance photos that populate the news articles. Those show him at a distance, always slightly blurred, as if he exists in a different dimension than the rest of us. In person, he's devastatingly present. Tall, probably 6'2" or 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that's all strong bones and harder edges. He wears a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my monthly rent, and moves with the kind of controlled grace that suggests violence is always an option, just carefully leashed. But it's his eyes that pin me in place even from 3 stories up. Dark, intense, and currently locked on the school entrance with a focus that makes me think of predators tracking prey. That's him. I breathe. Mrs. Henderson crosses herself. Mother Mary, protect us. A second vehicle pulls up behind the first, then a third. 6 men total emerge, all cut from the same cloth. Expensive suits, hard faces, eyes that catalog everything. This isn't a parent picking up his child from school. This is a military operation. Miss Emma? Sophie's small voice breaks through my paralysis. She's standing now, the stuffed bear clutched to her chest. Is that my daddy? The hope in her voice cracks something in my chest. I don't know, sweetie. Have you seen him before? She shakes her head, and I watch that hope dim slightly. Victor has pictures, but Daddy's always working. He can't visit because it's not safe. Not safe. The words carry a weight that a 5-year-old shouldn't understand but clearly does. The intercom crackles. Emma? They're here. Mrs. Henderson's secretary sounds terrified. Should I let them in? Before I can answer, I hear at the front door opening. Heavy footsteps in the downstairs hallway. They didn't wait for permission. Stay here, I tell Mrs. Henderson. Keep Sophie in the classroom until I verify his identity. Emma, don't. But I'm already moving, stepping into the hallway and closing the classroom door behind me. My heart hammers against my ribs as I head for the stairs, each step feeling like I'm walking toward a cliff's edge. The man waiting in the entrance hallway is somehow more imposing up close. He stands with his hands clasped in front of him, patient but coiled, like a spring under tension. His men flank the doorway, blocking any exit. When his eyes meet mine, I feel the impact, like a physical thing. Dark brown, almost black, and currently running an assessment that makes me feel simultaneously exposed and protected. Miss Sterling. His voice is the same one from the phone, deep, controlled, with an undertone that suggests he's used to being obeyed. I'm Dante Caruso. Thank you for calling. I need to see identification. I'm proud that my voice doesn't shake, and legal documentation proving you're Sophie's father before I release her into your custody. Something flickers in his expression. Surprise, maybe. Or respect. Of course. He reaches inside his jacket slowly, deliberately, telegraphing the movement, and produces a wallet. The driver's license shows his face, his name, an address in Manhattan that I recognize as one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city. Birth certificate. I press. Court documents, custody papers, something that proves Sophie is yours. I don't carry her birth certificate to business meetings, Miss Sterling. A slight edge creeps into his voice. But I can have documents sent within the hour. Then you can return within the hour to pick her up. We stare at each other. I'm aware of his men watching this exchange, aware that I'm probably pushing my luck, aware that this man could simply walk past me and take Sophie, and there's nothing I could physically do to stop him. But I'm also aware that a little girl upstairs is scared and confused, and I'm the only thing standing between her and the unknown. You stood against Volkov's man with a stapler. Dante's mouth curves slightly, not quite a smile. Victor warned me you were protective of her. He didn't mention you were fearless. I'm not fearless. I'm terrified. The admission slips out before I can stop it. But that doesn't change the fact that I need proof before I hand over a child in my care. He studies me for a long moment, and I have the unsettling sensation of being catalogued, filed away, added to some mental database he maintains of people worth noting. Then he pulls out his phone, taps something, and hands it to me. The screen shows a photo Sophie as an infant, cradled in the arms of a younger Dante. He's smiling in the picture, his whole face transformed by joy and wonder, and something achingly tender. A woman leans against his shoulder, beautiful and radiant, her hand resting on the baby's head. Her mother, Dante says quietly. Isabel. She died when Sophie was 2. Complications from an illness that the best doctors in the world couldn't cure. I swipe. More photos. Sophie at 2, gap-toothed and laughing. Sophie at 3, covered in paint. Sophie at 4, asleep on a couch with her head on Dante's lap while he works on a laptop. Hundreds of photos, all documenting a father's love for his daughter. I keep her hidden, Dante continues, his voice low enough that only I can hear. Not because I don't want her, because the world I inhabit is dangerous. Men like Dmitry Volkov would use her to hurt me. So she lives quietly, with Victor as her guardian, and I visit when I can make it safe. He takes the phone, back, and our fingers brush. His hands are warm, calloused in unexpected places, not the soft hands of someone who only signs papers and gives orders. Today, Volkov's men killed Victor. The words are delivered flatly, but I hear the rage underneath, carefully controlled. They took his phone, got the school's information, and sent someone to take Sophie, to use her as leverage in a war I've been trying to keep away from her. My stomach drops. Victor is dead? Yes. Oh God. I think of the kind man who dropped Sophie off every morning, who always asked about my day, who loved that little girl like she was his own. Sophie doesn't know? Not yet. Dante's jaw tightens. I need to take her somewhere safe before I explain that the only father figure she's known is gone. The weight of it crashes over me. Sophie upstairs, waiting. Victor dead. This man trying to protect his daughter from a world that wants to destroy them both. I make a decision that will change everything. She's in my classroom, 3rd floor. I step aside. But I'm coming with you. I want to see that she gets wherever you're taking her safely. That's not necessary. Maybe not. But I'm doing it anyway. That almost smile returns. You make demands of me in my own territory. You refuse to release my daughter without documentation. Now you insist on accompanying us. He tilts his head slightly. Do you have any idea who I am, Miss Sterling? I Googled you. Alleged organized crime boss. Under investigation for various illegal activities. Dangerous connections. I lift my chin. But right now, all I see is a father trying to protect his little girl. And I'm going to help you do that. The silence stretches. His men shift, clearly unused to anyone speaking to their boss this way. Then Dante does something I don't expect. He laughs. Actually laughs, the sound rusty like he doesn't do it often. Victor was right about you, he says. All right, Miss Sterling, you can escort Sophie. But once she's safe, you go home and forget this happened. Agreed? Agreed. It's a lie, and we both know it. I'm not going to forget any of this. He gestures for me to lead the way, and I head up the stairs, acutely aware of him behind me. The man moves silently despite his size, and I can feel his presence like heat against my back. The classroom door opens before I reach it. Mrs. Henderson stands there, her face pale. Emma, I called the police again. I told them, it's fine. I interrupt quickly. This is Sophie's father. We've verified his identity. Mrs. Henderson looks at Dante, and I watch her recognition kick in. Her eyes widen. Mr. Caruso. Mrs. Henderson. He inclines his head politely. I apologize for the disruption to your school. It wasn't intended. Yes, of course. She steps aside, clearly torn between terror and the ingrained politeness of someone who spent decades in education. Sophie is still in the reading corner, but she's standing now, the stuffed bear abandoned. She stares at Dante with wide eyes, and I see her trying to match the man in front of her with the pictures Victor showed her. Daddy? The word is hesitant, hopeful, heartbreaking. Dante's entire demeanor transforms. The dangerous edge melts away, replaced by something soft and aching. He crosses the room and kneels in front of her, making himself small, non-threatening. Hi, baby girl. His voice cracks slightly. I'm so sorry I couldn't come sooner. Sophie launches herself at him, small arms wrapping around his neck with the desperate grip of a child who's been scared and is finally safe. Dante catches her easily, standing with her cradled against his chest. The bad man wanted to take me, Sophie whispers against his shoulder. But Miss Emma wouldn't let him. She had a stapler and everything. Despite everything, I feel my lips twitch. Sophie, I don't think the stapler was the deciding factor. Dante meets my eyes over his daughter's head, and something passes between us. Understanding. Gratitude. Something else I can't quite name. Thank you, he mouths. I nod, not trusting my voice. We need to go, one of Dante's men says from the doorway. Marco just called. Volkov's people are moving. They know we're here. The softness vanishes from Dante's face, replaced by cold calculation. How many? At least 6. Maybe more. They're 2 blocks out. Dante's arms tighten around Sophie. Back entrance? Compromised. They're covering it. Roof access? Misses. Henderson steps forward, shaking but determined. There's a fire escape. 3rd floor supply closet. It leads to the adjacent building. Show me. Dante looks at me. Miss Sterling, I need you to stay here. If Volkov's men come in, you don't know anything. You haven't seen me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I grab my jacket and purse. If they're coming for Sophie, they're going to question anyone who had contact with her, which means I'm not safe here either. He looks like he wants to argue, but there's no time. Mrs. Henderson is already leading us to the supply closet, moving with surprising speed for a woman in her 60s. The fire escape is narrow, rusty, and probably hasn't been inspected in a decade. It groans under our weight as we climb down, Dante keeping Sophie pressed against his chest with one arm while his other hand rests on the railing. His men move with military precision, 2 ahead, 2 behind, one staying back to presumably deal with anyone who follows. I'm sandwiched between Dante and one of his guards, trying not to think about the 3-story drop or the fact that I'm fleeing from armed criminals with a Mafia boss. This morning I was worried about lesson plans and whether I could afford both groceries and my electric bill. Now I'm climbing down a fire escape in Brooklyn, running from people who want to kidnap a 5-year-old. Life comes at you fast. We reach the adjacent building's roof. One of Dante's men has a key of course he does, and we're moving through a building I don't recognize, down service stairs, through a basement that smells like mildew and old newspapers. A different black SUV waits in an alley behind the building. Get in, Dante orders, and for once I don't argue. The vehicle is spacious enough for all of us, with seats that probably cost more than my car. Sophie is still clinging to Dante, her face buried against his neck. I slide in beside them, and 2 of his men flank us, while the others pile into the remaining seats. The doors close. The engine starts. We pull out of the alley just as I hear shouting from the direction of the school. Are they? I start. Don't look back, Dante says quietly, but I do. Through the rear window, I see men running towards Sunshine Kindergarten, 6 of them, maybe more, moving with purpose. Then we turn a corner and they're gone. I face forward, my heart hammering. Mrs. Henderson. We'll tell them exactly what you told her to say. That Sophie's father picked her up. That you went with them to ensure the child's safety. Dante's voice is steady, certain. They won't hurt her. She's not valuable to them. But I am? He looks at me then. Really looks at me. And I see the calculation behind his eyes. You stopped Volkov's man from taking Sophie. You called me. You're a witness to an attempted kidnapping. He pauses. Yes, Miss Sterling. You're valuable. Which means you're also in danger. The words settle over me like a weight. For how long? Until I end this war with Volkov. Dante's jaw tightens. Or until he ends me. Sophie makes a small sound against his chest, and he immediately softens, running a soothing hand down her back. It's okay, baby. Daddy's got you. You're safe. But as the SUV carries us deeper into Brooklyn, away from everything familiar, I realize that safety is relative, and I just traded my predictable, struggling life for something far more dangerous. The man beside me is a criminal. His world is violence and power, and secrets buried so deep they might never see light. But he's also a father who loves his daughter desperately enough to hide her from his life, who thanked me for protecting her, who looks at Sophie like she's the only thing in the world that matters. I should be terrified. I am terrified. But underneath the fear is something else. Something that whispers that maybe, just maybe, I made the right choice. Even if it's the choice that might destroy everything I've built. The SUV merges onto the highway, and I watch Brooklyn disappear behind us, taking my normal life with it. Sophie's soft breathing fills the silence. She's fallen asleep, exhausted by fear and relief. Dante holds her carefully, protectively, one hand cradling her head. Where are we going? I whisper. He doesn't look at me. His eyes are on the road ahead, scanning for threats that might not come but probably will. Somewhere Volkov can't reach. He pauses. And Miss Sterling? Emma, I say automatically. If we're fleeing from criminals together, you should probably call me Emma. That almost smile returns, barely there. Emma, then. He finally meets my eyes. What you did today, standing up to Volkov's man. Protecting Sophie that took courage most people don't have. Thank you. I'm a kindergarten teacher, I say softly. Protecting children is what I do. From skinned knees and hurt feelings, not from organized crime. Apparently my job description just expanded. He laughs again, that rusty sound that suggests it doesn't happen often. And despite everything, the danger, the fear, the complete upheaval of my life, I find myself smiling. We drive into the sunset, leaving behind the wreckage of our separate worlds and heading toward something unknown. Something that starts with a simple truth. I saved his daughter, and nothing will ever be the same again. The safe house isn't what I expect. I'm picturing something from a movie concrete bunker, armed guards at every entrance, maybe a panic room or two. Instead, the SUV pulls up to a restored Victorian mansion in Connecticut, all elegant stonework and sprawling gardens that glow amber in the late afternoon sun. "This is safe?" I ask, staring at the ornate iron gates that swing open automatically as we approach. "Safest place within 100 miles. Dante shifts Sophie's sleeping weight against his shoulder. "The property is registered to a shell corporation 3 layers deep. Electronic surveillance, armed response team, escape routes built into the architecture." He glances at me, and it looks like a place where a child can be a child, not a fortress. The gates close behind us with a solid clang that suggests they're more than decorative. We pull around a circular driveway where a fountain burbles peacefully, completely at odds with the circumstances that brought us here. 2 more SUVs are already parked near the entrance, and men in dark suits patrol the perimeter, with the casual vigilance of people who are always expecting trouble. Boss, one of Dante's men, the driver, built like a tank and probably just as indestructible, opens the door. Marco's inside. He's secured the perimeter and swept for devices. "Good. Get Emma settled in the east wing. 2nd floor, room with the garden view." "I don't need," I start. "You need somewhere to sleep tonight." Dante's voice is gentle but firm. "Unless you'd prefer I drop you back in Brooklyn where Volkov's people are actively searching for you?" I close my mouth. He has a point. Inside, the house is even more beautiful. Hardwood floors, crown molding, furniture that manages to be both expensive and comfortable. A grand staircase curves upward, and I can see children's toys scattered near a sitting room, evidence that this place has been prepared for Sophie. A woman appears from the kitchen, middle-aged with kind eyes and an apron dusted with flour. "Mr. Caruso, I've prepared Sophie's room and made dinner. Chicken parmesan, her favorite." "Thank you, Rosa." Dante's voice warms. "This is Emma Sterling. She'll be staying with us. Can you show her to the guest room?" Rosa's eyes sharpen with curiosity, but she just nods. "Of course. Miss Sterling, if you'll follow me." I hesitate, looking at Dante. He's still holding Sophie, and something about the image this dangerous man cradling his sleeping daughter with such careful tenderness makes my chest ache. "Go," he says quietly. "I need to put Sophie down and brief my security team. We'll talk over dinner." "Talk about what?" His expression darkens. "About how long you'll need to stay here. About what Volkov wants. About how we keep you both alive until this is over." The words should terrify me. Instead, they just feel inevitable. I follow Rosa up the grand staircase, my legs shaking with delayed shock and exhaustion. The adrenaline that kept me moving all afternoon is finally crashing, leaving me hollow and trembling. The guest room is stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook gardens that stretch toward a tree line, a king-sized bed with crisp white linens, an attached bathroom with a clawfoot tub that looks like heaven. "I've laid out some clothes," Rosa says, gesturing to an outfit on the bed. "Mr. Caruso keeps a variety of sizes for guests. These should fit. Bathrooms fully stocked with toiletries. Thank you." My voice comes out hoarse. Rosa studies me with the assessing gaze of someone who's seen a lot in her life. "You protected Sophie today." "I did my job." "Your job is teaching kindergarten, not standing against Volkov's men." She moves to the door, then pauses. "Mr. Caruso is a good man, Miss Sterling. I know what people say about him. I know what the news reports. But he's a good man who was born into a bad world and has done everything he can to protect his daughter from it. I don't even know what I'm trying to say." Rosa just smiles. "Dinner is at 7. Try to rest before then. You've had quite a day." She closes the door softly, leaving me alone in this beautiful room that might as well be another cage. I sink onto the bed, my hands shaking. Then I pull out my phone. 14 missed calls, 23 text messages, all from the same number, my best friend and roommate, Chloe. "Where are you, Emma? Seriously, answer your phone? The news is saying something happened at the school, Emma. I'm freaking out." I dial her number. She answers on the first ring. "Oh my God, Emma. Where the hell are you?" "I went by the school, and it's surrounded by police tape and—" "Chloe, slow down. I'm fine." "Fine? The news is saying there was an attempted kidnapping. Mrs. Henderson told reporters that you left with the child and her father, and no one knows where you went." I close my eyes. Of course it made the news. Of course Chloe is terrified. "I can't explain everything right now," I say carefully, aware that Dante probably has ways of monitoring calls. "But I'm safe. I'm with Sophie, the little girl who was almost taken, and her father. We're somewhere secure. Somewhere secure? Emma, that sounds like something a kidnapping victim says under duress. Blink twice if you need me to call the police. Despite everything, I laugh. I'm not blinking. I'm not in danger. Well, not from the people I'm with. Not from what the hell does that mean? It means it's complicated, and I need you to trust me. I take a breath. Can you cover my shifts at the diner? Tell Susan there was a family emergency and I'll be back as soon as possible? Emma, you don't have family. Your parents died when you were 19 and you're an only child. Who am I supposed to say is having an emergency? I don't know. Be creative. Please, Chloe. I need this. She's quiet for a long moment. Then, voice tight. How long are we talking? I don't know. A few days? Maybe a week? A week? Emma, we can barely afford rent when you're working 2 jobs. If you miss a week at the diner, I know. My stomach twists. Rent is due in 2 weeks. My student loans are on auto pay. My car insurance comes out next Friday. I'll figure it out. I just need you to buy me some time. Fine. But you owe me a detailed explanation when you get back. And Emma? Her voice softens. Be careful. Whatever this is, it sounds dangerous. I will, I promise. I hang up and stare at my phone. My bank app shows $847 in my checking account. Not enough to cover everything due this month, even if I stretch it. A knock on the door interrupts my spiraling anxiety. Come in. Dante enters, and I'm struck again by his presence. He's removed his jacket and loosened his tie, and somehow the slightly disheveled look makes him more intimidating, not less. Like seeing the man beneath the armor. Sophie's awake, he says. She's asking for you. For me? You're the one who saved her. The one who made her feel safe when a stranger tried to take her. He leans against the doorframe. To a 5-year-old, that makes you a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just a kindergarten teacher who stood against trained killers with office supplies. Yes, I know. You've mentioned. That almost smile appears. Sophie's in the sitting room. Will you join us for dinner? Rosa makes excellent chicken parmesan. I should say no. Should maintain professional distance. Should remember that this man is dangerous. That his world is violence. That getting attached to his daughter will only make this harder when I have to leave. But Sophie is asking for me. And I've never been good at saying no to a child who needs comfort. Okay, I say. Give me 5 minutes to clean up. He nods and turns to leave, then pauses. Emma? Yes? You'll have questions. About who I am, what I do, why Volkov wants to hurt me. His dark eyes meet mine. I'll answer them honestly. All of them. You deserve that much after what you did today. Then he's gone, closing, the door softly behind him. I shower quickly, washing away the sweat and fear of the afternoon. The clothes Rosa left fit perfectly soft gray leggings and an oversized cream sweater that feels like a hug. I towel dry my hair and leave it loose, too exhausted for anything more complicated. When I make my way downstairs following the sound of voices, I find Sophie in the sitting room with a mountain of stuffed animals. She's changed into pajamas pink with unicorns, and her dark curls are damp from her own bath. Miss Emma. She spots me and runs over, throwing her arms around my waist. You came! Of course I came. I kneel to her level. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Daddy says we're on an adventure, like in my storybooks. She lowers her voice conspiratorially. But I think it's because of the bad man who tried to take me. Smart kid. Too smart for her own good. Your daddy's making sure you're safe, I say carefully. That's what matters. Are you staying here too? For a little while. Good. Sophie grabs my hand. Come see my room. Daddy says it's mine whenever we visit. It has a window seat and everything. I let her drag me upstairs, chattering about her room, her stuffed animals, the garden she can see from her window. Dante follows at a distance, and I feel his gaze on us like a physical touch. Sophie's room is perfect for a little girl, pale purple walls, white furniture, books and toys carefully arranged. The window seat overlooks the gardens, and I can imagine her curled up there with a book, safe and happy. It's beautiful, I tell her honestly. Daddy picked everything. She climbs onto the window seat. He asked what my favorite colors were, and what animals I liked and everything. He pays attention like that. I glance at Dante, who's leaning in the doorway. He looks almost embarrassed. Dinner's ready, he says. Come on, little bird. Time to eat. Little bird? I mouth at him as Sophie skips past. She used to make chirping sounds as a baby. His expression softens. The nickname stuck. We eat at a kitchen table that seats 12 but feels intimate with just the three of us. Rosa serves and then disappears, giving us privacy. The chicken parmesan is incredible, and I realize I haven't eaten since a granola bar at 10 this morning. Sophie talks nonstop through dinner, asking me questions about my favorite animals, my favorite colors, whether I like unicorns or dragons better. Dante watches both of us, contributing occasionally but mostly observing with that quiet intensity. After dinner, Sophie starts yawning despite her best efforts to stay awake. "Bedtime, little bird," Dante says gently. "But Miss Emma just got here," Sophie protests. "Miss Emma will be here tomorrow," he promises. "She's not going anywhere." The words carry weight that Sophie doesn't catch, but I do. I'm not going anywhere. Not until this is over. Not until it's safe. Whatever safe means in this world. I help Dante tuck Sophie in, reading her a story about a princess and a dragon while she fights to keep her eyes open. By the last page, she's asleep, her small hand curled around her stuffed bear. Dante pulls the blanket up to her chin with such careful tenderness that something in my chest cracks open. "She's lucky to have you," I whisper as we leave her room, closing the door softly. "I'm lucky to have her." He leads me downstairs to a study lined with bookshelves. She's the only good thing I've ever created. The study is clearly his space leather furniture. A massive desk, windows that overlook the dark gardens. He pours 2 glasses of amber liquid and hands me one. "I don't usually drink," I say. "You don't usually flee from criminals either. Seems like a night for new experiences." He settles into a chair and gestures for me to take the couch. "You have questions. Ask them." I take a sip. The whiskey burns going down, then warms. "Who is Dmitry Volkov, and why does he want to hurt Sophie?" "Volkov runs the Russian Bratva organized crime in New York. For the last 2 years, we've been fighting over territory." Dante's voice is matter of fact, like discussing weather, ports, shipping routes, gambling operations. I've been pushing him out systematically. "So this is about business?" "It's always about business, until it becomes personal." His jaw tightens. 3 months ago, one of my operations was hit. 4 of my men died. I traced it back to Volkov. So I responded by shutting down his money laundering operation in Queens. An eye for an eye, more like a tooth for a tooth. In this world, you don't respond proportionally. You respond overwhelmingly, or you're seen as weak. He takes a long drink. Volkov retaliated by going after my people. Not my soldiers, my civilians, the families. He killed Victor to send a message. My stomach drops. What message? That no one I care about is safe. That he'll burn my entire world to ash if I don't back down and give him what he wants. Which is everything. Dante's smile is cold. Volkov doesn't want compromise. He wants surrender. He wants me dead and my operations absorbed into his empire. I think about this, turning the glass in my hands. Why not just stop, walk away, take Sophie and disappear? You think I haven't considered that? He stands, moves to the window. Every single day for the last 5 years, I've thought about leaving this life, taking Sophie somewhere safe, somewhere normal, maybe Italy, maybe California, somewhere Volkov and people like him can't reach us. But I was born into this world, Emma. My father ran the Caruso family before me, my grandfather before him. I inherited an empire built on blood and secrets, and walking away isn't as simple as packing a bag. He turns to face me. The families I'm allied with depend on me for protection. The businesses, legitimate and otherwise, employ thousands of people. If I disappear, it all collapses. And nature abhors a vacuum. Someone worse than me fills the space. Someone like Volkov. Exactly like Volkov. At least I have rules. I don't traffic people. I don't push drugs that destroy communities. I don't target families. His voice hardens. I'm trying to build something better, cleaner, moving money into legitimate businesses, creating legal revenue streams. In 10 years, maybe 15, the Caruso family could be completely legitimate. But Volkov doesn't want to wait 15 years. No, he wants what I've built, and he's willing to kill a 5-year-old girl to get it. The silence stretches between us, heavy with implications. How long do I have to stay here? I finally ask. Until I end this. Dante moves back to his chair. Volkov made a mistake today. He went after Sophie. That crosses a line, and every family in New York knows it. Children are off limits. Always. What he did today will cost him allies. Support. It gives me leverage. To do what? To finish this war decisively. Within a week, maybe 2, I'll have enough evidence and enough backing to take Volkov down permanently. His eyes meet mine. But until then, you can't go home. The moment you surface, he'll grab you. Use you to get to Sophie. Use you to hurt me. We barely know each other. Why would he think you care what happens to me? Dante studies me for a long moment. Because Sophie cares. And everyone knows I'd burn the world for my daughter. He pauses. Which means anyone Sophie cares about becomes valuable. Becomes a target. The weight of it settles over me. I saved a little girl from kidnapping, and now I'm trapped in witness protection with a Mafia boss, hunted by his enemies, unable to return to my life. I can't afford this, I say suddenly. I have rent due in 2 weeks, student loans, car insurance. I work 2 jobs just to barely make it each month. If I'm here for a week, you'll be compensated. I blink. What? For your time. Your risk. The disruption to your life. Dante pulls out his phone, taps something. What's your monthly income? Combined from both jobs. That's not... Emma. What do you make? Around $3,500. The admission feels shameful. Before taxes and deductions. After, it's more like $2,800, and that barely covers everything. He types something else. What's your rent? $1,500. Split with my roommate, so I pay $750. More typing. And your student loan payment? $340. Look, you need to survive. His voice is gentle. You need to not lose your apartment because you're hiding from criminals. That's non-negotiable. My phone buzzes. I look down at the notification and my heart stops. Bank alert. Deposit of $10,000. 00 to checking account ending in 4,782. What did you do? I whisper. Covered 3 months of expenses. Rent, loans, insurance, groceries. Call it hazard pay. Dante's expression is unreadable. You saved my daughter's life and put your own at risk. The least I can do is make sure you don't lose everything because of it. I can't accept this. But even as I say it, I'm thinking about rent, about student loans, about how many shifts I'll miss at the diner, about finally being able to breathe without calculating every dollar. You can. You will. He stands. It's late. You've had an impossible day. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll talk about next steps. He moves toward the door, then pauses. Emma? Yes. Thank you. For Sophie. For standing between her and danger. For coming here even though you had every reason to run. His voice drops. I won't forget it. Then he's gone, leaving me alone with a glass of expensive whiskey and $10,000 I never asked for, but desperately need. I finish the drink and head upstairs, my mind reeling. In my beautiful guest room, I lie in the enormous bed and stare at the ceiling, trying to process everything. This morning I was Emma Sterling, kindergarten teacher and struggling graduate. Tonight I'm Emma Sterling, protected witness in a Mafia safe house. My phone buzzes again, a text from Chloe. Susan says she'll hold your shifts for 1 week. After that, she needs to hire someone else. Call me tomorrow. Love you. I text back. Love you too. Thank you. Then I pull up my banking app and stare at the number. $10,000. More money than I've ever had in my account at once. Dante Caruso just changed my life with a single transfer, and I have no idea if I should be grateful or terrified. I wake to sunlight streaming through windows I forgot to close, and the sound of a child's laughter. For a moment, I don't remember where I am. Then it crashes back. Kidnapping attempt, Mafia boss, safe house, $10,000. I grab my phone. 8:30. I haven't slept past 6 in 2 years. More laughter from outside. I move to the window and look down at the gardens. Sophie is running through the grass in a yellow sundress, her dark curls bouncing. She's chasing butterflies and spinning in circles with the unself-conscious joy of childhood. Dante sits on a bench nearby, watching her with an expression that makes my breath catch. Pure love, pure terror, the look of a father who knows how fragile happiness is. I shower and dress in clothes I find in the closet, jeans, and a soft blue sweater that fit perfectly. Rosa's work, I assume. Downstairs, I find her in the kitchen making pancakes. Morning, Miss Emma. Coffee? Please. And it's just Emma. I accept the mug gratefully. How long have you worked for Mr. Caruso? 15 years. Rosa flips a pancake expertly. Since before Sophie was born, I was his wife's housekeeper first. After Isabel died, he asked me to help with Sophie. What was she like? Isabel? Rosa's expression softens. Kind, gentle. Too good for this world, really. She glances at me. She knew what Dante was, what he did, but she saw the man beneath. It. The man who wanted to be better. Did she make him better? She tried, and for a while, it worked. He was pulling back from the family business, focusing on legitimate operations. Then she got sick. Rosa's voice tightens. Pancreatic cancer. Aggressive. By the time they caught it, nothing could be done. She lasted 6 months. That's awful. It broke something in him, made him realize he couldn't protect the people he loved just by wanting it badly enough. Rosa slides pancakes onto a plate. So he doubled down, got colder, more careful, built walls around Sophie so high that even he couldn't always reach her. Until now. Until you. Rosa hands me the plate. You brought her here. Brought him here. Made him remember what it's like to have someone worth protecting who isn't locked away in a fortress. I don't know what to say to that, so I just take the pancakes outside. Sophie spots me immediately and runs over. Miss Emma, look at the flowers. Daddy says they're called hydrangeas. They're beautiful. I sit on the bench next to Dante. He looks different in daylight, wearing jeans and a dark t-shirt. Still dangerous, but somehow more human. Morning, he says. Did you sleep? Better than expected. You? Not much. I had calls to make. He watches Sophie chase a butterfly. I spoke with the heads of the other families this morning. Told them what Volkov did. They're concerned. Concerned enough to help? Concerned enough to withdraw their support from him, which leaves him isolated, vulnerable. Dante's jaw tightens. I have 3 days, maybe 4, then I move against him. And after? After you go home. Resume your life. Forget this happened. We both know that's impossible. You can't forget running from kidnappers. Can't forget a mafia boss paying your rent. Can't forget a little girl who wrapped her arms around you and made you feel like a hero. Sophie runs back over, breathless and beaming. Miss Emma, will you play? With me? We can have a tea party. I would love that. We spend the morning in Sophie's world, tea parties with stuffed animals, drawing pictures with crayons Rosa produces from somewhere, reading books about princesses and dragons and brave girls who save the day. Dante watches from a distance, always close enough to intervene but far enough to give us space. I catch him smiling at Sophie's elaborate stories, see the way he relaxes when she laughs. This is a man, I realize, who would do absolutely anything for his daughter, including trust a kindergarten teacher with no experience in his world. After lunch, Sophie goes down for a nap, exhausted from playing. Dante leads me to the study again. I need to tell you something, he says, closing the door, about what happens next. My stomach drops. Okay. Tomorrow, I have a meeting with the heads of the 5 families. It's significant. He pours 2 glasses of water, hands me one. I'm going to present evidence of Volkov's violations, his attack on children, his disregard for the rules that keep this world from complete chaos. And they'll what? Vote him off the island? A slight smile. Something like that. More likely, they'll give me permission to handle him however I see fit. Which means war. Actual war? Like guns and like the kind of violence that gets messy. His expression darkens. I'll win. I have better soldiers, better intelligence, more resources. But it won't be clean. Where does that leave Sophie? Where does it leave me? Safe, here, with enough security to stop a small army. He moves closer. But I need you to understand something, Emma. Once this starts, there's no going back. Volkov will come at me with everything he has, which means he'll come at everyone I care about, Sophie. And you. His dark eyes hold mine. He saw you with her at the school. His men reported back that a teacher intervened, stopped the kidnapping. He knows you're important to Sophie, which makes you important to me. We barely know each other. Doesn't matter. In his mind, you're leverage, a weakness. Dante's voice drops. So I need to keep you safe. Not just for Sophie's sake, for yours. The air between us feels charged, electric. I'm aware of how close he's standing, how his cologne smells like cedar and something darker, how his hands are clenched like he's fighting the urge to reach for me. I'm not your responsibility, I say quietly. Yes, he says simply. You are. A knock interrupts whatever might happen next. One of Dante's men, Marco, I think enters. Boss, Volkov sent a message. Dante's entire demeanor shifts, cold calculation replacing warmth. "Show me." Marco hands him a tablet. I watch Dante's face as he reads, see the rage flash across his features before he controls it. "What does it say?" I ask. He turns the tablet toward me. It's a photo of Sunshine Kindergarten, my classroom window, and written across the image in red text, the teacher and the child. "Return them both by midnight tomorrow or everyone you love dies screaming." My blood turns to ice. "He's bluffing," Dante says, but his voice is tight. "He doesn't have the resources to threaten everyone I know. But he can threaten some people. I think of Mrs. Henderson, of the other teachers, of Chloe. He can hurt people to prove a point." Dante is already on his phone, barking orders. "Increase security on all family assets. Put protection details on Henderson, the school staff, Emma's roommate, get me her address." "Yes, now. I don't care if she doesn't want it. Do it anyway." He hangs up and looks at me. "Your friend Chloe, where does she work?" "A marketing firm in Manhattan." "Why?" "Because Volkov will use her to get to you. I'm putting a team on her. Discreetly. She won't even know they're there. She's gonna freak out. Better freaked out than dead." "He's right. I hate that he's right. This is my fault," I whisper. "I stopped that man. I did the school, and now you saved my daughter." Dante's hands frame my face, forcing me to look at him. "None of this is your fault. Volkov made his choice when he went after Sophie. You just happened to be brave enough to stand in his way." "I had a stapler." "That's not brave. That's stupid. It's both." His thumbs brush my cheekbones, and I feel the touch like electricity. And it's exactly what Sophie needed. What I needed. Someone who didn't calculate the risks, who just acted. We're so close I can feel his breath, see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, count the worry lines at the corners of his mouth. "Dante," I breathe. "I know." He steps back, dropping his hands. "I know this is complicated. That you're here because you have to be, not because you want to be. That I'm the last person you should trust. That's not, but I need you to believe one thing." His voice is rough, honest. "I will keep you safe, no matter what it costs, no matter what I have to do. You and Sophie are my priority. Everything else is negotiable." The weight of that promise settles over me. This dangerous man just pledged his protection, his resources, his life probably, if it came to that. And the terrifying part? I believe him. Part 2 continues. The meeting happens at a neutral location, a restaurant closed for private event, which I assume means owned by someone who knows better than to ask questions. Dante leaves at 4 in the afternoon, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than I made in a month before his deposit. He looks every inch the powerful crime boss, cold, controlled, deadly. But before he goes, he stops by Sophie's room where I'm helping her with a puzzle. "Be good for Emma, little bird," he says, kissing the top of her head. "Always am." Sophie doesn't look up from the puzzle pieces. "Bye, Daddy." He catches my eye. "Marco's in charge of security while I'm gone. Anything unusual, anything at all, you tell him immediately. We'll be fine." "I know, but humor me anyway." He leaves, and the house feels emptier without him. Sophie and I finish the puzzle, then make cookies with Rosa in the kitchen. Normal activities in a deeply abnormal situation. By 7, Sophie is yawning through dinner. I tuck her in, reading 3 stories because she keeps asking for one more. "Miss Emma," she says sleepily as I turn off the light. "Yes, sweetie? Are you going to stay? After Daddy fixes the bad man problem?" My heart clenches. "I don't know. I have my own home, my own job. But you could visit. On weekends, maybe. We could do tea parties and read books and..." She yawns. "You make Daddy smile. He doesn't smile much. Good night, Sophie. Night." I close her door softly and lean against it. My emotions a tangled mess. 3 days ago, I didn't know these people existed. Now a 5-year-old is asking me to be part of her life. Now her father is fighting a war partly to keep me safe. Now I have $10,000 in my bank account and armed guards protecting my roommate. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answer. "Hello? Miss Sterling." The voice is unfamiliar, male, with a thick Russian accent. "My name is Dmitry Volkov." Every muscle in my body freezes. "I have nothing to say to you. Perhaps. But you will listen." His voice is casual, friendly even. "You've become quite the problem for me. Interfering with my business. Hiding behind Dante Caruso like he can protect you forever. He's doing a pretty good job so far." Volkov laughs. Brave words. I respect that. Which is why I'm going to offer you a choice. I'm not interested in bring me the girl, tomorrow, noon, the address I'm texting you. His voice hardens. Do this, and you walk away. I'll even throw in some money. Compensation for your troubles. You want me to betray a 5-year-old child? I want to end a war. The girl is leverage. I use her to make Caruso back. Down, then everyone goes home. Simple. Except Sophie doesn't go home. She goes into the hands of a man who already killed her guardian. Victor was a casualty of war. These things happen. Rage burns through my fear. No. Excuse me? I said no. I'm not giving you Sophie. I'm not betraying Dante. I'm not doing anything except hanging up now and telling him about this conversation. Then your friend Chloe dies. The words are delivered flatly. The marketing girl. Pretty thing. Lives on West 47th. Coffee every morning at the same place. Very predictable. My blood turns to ice. If you touch her. Noon tomorrow. Miss Sterling. You deliver the girl, or your friend learns what happens to people who get in Dmitry Volkov's way. The line goes dead. I stand in the hallway, shaking, the phone clutched in my hand. He found Chloe. He's threatening to kill her unless I betray Dante and Sophie. I should call Marco. Should tell Dante's security team immediately. Instead, I find myself moving on autopilot, down the stairs, through the house, until I'm in Dante's study staring at the address Volkov texted. A warehouse in Queens. Probably a trap. Definitely a trap. But if I don't go, Chloe dies, and I can't let that happen. I won't. I'm reaching for my jacket when the study door opens. Marco fills the doorway, expression grim. Miss Sterling. Who was on the phone? No one. Wrong number. You're a terrible liar. You're a terrible liar. He steps inside. The boss said to watch you. Said Volkov might try something. That you might do something brave and stupid. I'm not. Your face says otherwise. What did he offer you? What did he threaten? I could lie. Should lie. But Marco's eyes are too knowing, and I'm too tired to maintain the deception. He wants Sophie. Said he'll kill my friend if I don't bring her to him by noon tomorrow. Marco's expression doesn't change. And you were going to do what exactly? Walk into a warehouse alone and hope Volkov keeps his word? I wasn't going to bring Sophie. I was going to tell him she escaped. Buy Dante time to finish his meeting. I realize how stupid it sounds out loud. I was going to protect my friend. By sacrificing yourself. Marco shakes his head. The boss said you were like this. Protective. Reckless when someone you love is threatened. He barely knows me. He knows enough. Marco pulls out his phone. I'm calling him. Please don't. He's in an important meeting, which he'll leave the second he hears Volkov contacted you. Marco is already dialing. Boss, we have a problem. 10 minutes later, Dante's SUV screams into the driveway. He storms into the house, still in his suit, his face carved from stone. Where is she? Study, Marco says. Dante finds me sitting on the couch, my hands twisted together. He stops in the doorway, and I watch him struggle to control his rage. You are going to go to him. It's not a question. You were going to walk into Volkov's trap. He threatened Chloe. So you decided to trade your life for hers? Dante moves closer, his voice dangerous. Did it occur to you that I have people protecting your friend? That I've had protection on her since yesterday? I blink. What? The second Volkov sent that message about hurting everyone I care about, I put teams on everyone connected to you. Your friend, your coworkers, the teachers at the school. He stops in front of me. Chloe has 2 of my best men watching her. She's safe. Relief floods through me so intensely I feel dizzy. She's safe? Yes. But you were about to get yourself killed because you didn't trust me to handle it. I barely know you. You know I'd die before letting harm come to someone under my protection. His voice drops. You know I'd burn this city to ash to keep Sophie safe. Did you really think I'd do less for you? The question hangs in the air between us. I'm not used to people protecting me, I whisper. I'm used to being the one who protects others. Well, get used to something different. Dante sits beside me, close enough that I feel his heat. Because until this is over and maybe after you're mine to protect, that means you don't make decisions without me. You don't take risks without backup. You definitely don't walk into traps set by Russian mobsters. I wasn't going to bring Sophie. I know. Marco told me your plan. Something like respect flickers in his eyes. Stupid. Suicidal, but brave. You were going to lie to Volkov's face, knowing he'd probably kill you when he figured it out. He wants Sophie. He can't have her. No, Dante agrees. He can't. Which is why tomorrow, we're ending this. How? By giving him what he wants. Just not how he expects it. You're going to use me as bait. Dante doesn't deny it. I'm going to use Volkov's expectations against him. He thinks you're weak. Thinks you'll crack under pressure. Thinks a kindergarten teacher can't possibly be a threat. I can't be. I'm not trained for. You stood against his man with a stapler. Dante's mouth curves slightly. You're more of a threat than he realizes. But that's not the point. The point is he's so focused on getting to Sophie through you that he's not seeing the larger picture. Which is that every family in New York now knows he broke the most sacred rule. Children are off limits. Always. By going after Sophie, by killing Victor, by threatening you a civilian with no connection to this world, he's isolated himself. Dante stands, moves to his desk. The meeting tonight went exactly as I hoped. I have unanimous support to handle Volkov however I see fit. Handle. That's a nice word for kill. Yes, he doesn't sugarcoat it. I'm going to kill Dmitry Volkov, tomorrow, at the warehouse where he wants to meet you. My stomach drops. You can't. What if something goes wrong? What if he has more men than you expect? What if... Emma, he turns to face me. This is what I do. What I've been trained for my entire life. I know how to fight this kind of war. But you could get hurt. You could... I stop, realizing what I'm revealing. That I care. That somewhere in the last 3 days, this dangerous man stopped being just Sophie's father and became someone I'm terrified of losing. Dante sees it too. I watch the realization cross his face, watch something in his expression shift. You're worried about me, he says quietly. Of course I'm worried. Sophie needs you. She can't lose another parent. And you? He moves closer. Are you worried for Sophie's sake? Or for your own? I should lie. Should maintain distance. Should remember that in a few days, this will be over, and I'll go back to my real life. But I'm so tired of lying, of pretending I don't feel the pull between us, of acting like his presence doesn't make my heart race and my breath catch. Both, I admit. I'm worried for both. The air between us crackles with tension. Dante is so. Close now I can see the individual lashes framing his dark eyes, can count the threads of silver in his dark hair, can feel the heat radiating from his body. I need to tell you something, he says, his voice rough. About Isabel. About Sophie's mother. You don't have to... I do. Because you should understand what you're getting into. What kind of man I am. He moves to the window, his back to me. I met Isabel when I was 25. She was a nurse at a hospital where one of my men was recovering from a work-related injury. She had no idea who I was. Just saw a man visiting his friend, being kind, making jokes to keep spirits up. I stay quiet, letting him talk. She asked me out. Me. This sweet, beautiful woman who saved lives for a living asked out a man whose job was taking them. His shoulders tighten. I should have said no. Should have walked away. But I was selfish. I wanted to know what it felt like to be seen as something other than a criminal. What did you tell her? About what you did? Nothing. Not for 6 months. I let her believe I worked in import-export, which isn't technically a lie. I took her to nice restaurants, bought her flowers, pretended I was normal. He turns to face me, and I fell in love with her. Completely. Devastatingly. When did she find out the truth? The night I proposed. I couldn't marry her under false pretenses, so I told her everything. Who I was, what I did, what my family was. His voice drops. She cried for an hour. Then she said yes anyway. She loved you. She loved who she thought I could become. The man I wanted to be, instead of the man I was born to be. Dante's expression is anguished. And I tried, Emma. I really tried. I started pulling back from the family business. Investing in legitimate operations. Planning an exit strategy that would take years but would eventually get us out. But she got sick. 2 years after Sophie was born. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. 6 months from diagnosis to death. His voice breaks slightly. I spent millions on treatments, flew in specialists from around the world, made deals with people I despised, and none of it mattered. She died anyway. I stand, move to him. My hand finds his without conscious thought. I promised her, Dante continues, gripping my hand like a lifeline. Right before she died, I promised I'd protect Sophie from this world. Keep her safe. Keep her innocent. Give her the childhood neither of us had. You've done that. Sophie is happy. Loved. She's also alone. I keep her so isolated, so protected, that she has no friends her age, no normal life. She calls Victor uncle because he's the only constant in her existence besides Rosa and me. His dark eyes meet mine. Until you, Dante, you walked into flames for a child you'd known for 6 weeks. You stood up to Volkov's man without hesitation. You came here, put your life on hold, accepted protection from a criminal because it meant keeping Sophie safe. He lifts his hand, traces my cheekbone with his thumb. You're exactly what Isabel was. Someone good in a world of darkness. Someone who makes me remember that better things exist. I'm not her replacement. I know. You're not a replacement for anyone. His voice drops to barely a whisper. You're something new. Something I didn't know I was allowed to want. We're so close now that I can feel his breath on my lips. His hand cups my face, and I lean into the touch without meaning to. This is a terrible idea, I breathe. The worst, he agrees. You're a criminal. I'm a kindergarten teacher. We live in completely different worlds. Completely different. In a few days, this will be over and I'll go home and we'll probably never see each other again. Probably. His thumb traces my lower lip. Unless you don't want that. What I want doesn't matter. What's practical? What's safe, Emma? He stops my words by pressing his forehead to mine. Nothing about this situation is practical or safe. But for the first time in 7 years, I feel something other than grief and rage and the constant weight of protecting everyone I love. I feel hope. Hope for what? For something better. For Sophie having a mother figure who actually wants to be in her life. For me having someone who sees past what I do to who I could be. He pulls back enough to look at me. For us, whatever that means, I should say no, should push him away, should maintain the professional distance that disappeared the moment I ran into a burning building of a different kind. Instead, I kiss him. It's not gentle or tentative. It's desperate, fierce. 7 years of loneliness meeting 3 days of impossible attraction. His hands tangle in my hair and mine grip his shoulders and we pour everything we can't say into this single moment. He tastes like whiskey and promises, like danger and safety in equal measure, like a future I didn't know I was allowed to want. When we break apart, both breathing hard, Dante rests his forehead against mine again. I'm going to keep you safe, he says. Tomorrow when we deal with Volkov. Next week when you go back to your life. Always. Even if you decide you don't want anything to do with me after this. You're under my protection permanently. That's a bold claim considering we just met. I made a lot of mistakes with Isabel. Waited too long to tell her the truth. Didn't appreciate the time we had until it was gone. His dark eyes hold mine. I'm not making those mistakes again. So yes, it's bold. But it's also true. You matter, Emma Sterling. To Sophie. To me. And I protect what matters. A soft sound from the doorway makes us both turn. Sophie stands there in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her stuffed bear. I had a bad dream. Dante immediately shifts, all the intensity disappearing, replaced by gentle father. Come here, little bird. She runs to him and he lifts her easily, settling her on his hip. What was the dream about? The bad man came and took Miss Emma away. And you were sad and I was sad and nobody could find her. Sophie's voice trembles. It was scary. Miss Emma is right here. Dante gestures to me. See? Safe and sound. Sophie reaches for me, and I take her other hand. I'm not going anywhere, sweetheart. I promise. Do you promise? Promise? Like really truly promise? I look at Dante. He nods almost imperceptibly. I promise, I tell her. Really truly. It's a promise I have no idea if I can keep. But in this moment, with Sophie's small hand in mine and Dante watching us both like we're the only things in the world that matter, I mean it with everything I have. We take Sophie back to her room together. Dante reads her another story while I sit on the edge of the bed, and somewhere in the middle of the tale about a brave princess and a misunderstood dragon, Sophie falls back asleep. She feels safe with you here. Dante whispers as we leave her room. She hasn't slept through the night in weeks. Too anxious about the threats she doesn't fully understand but knows exist. Tonight, with you here, she's peaceful. She's resilient. She's 5 and she's had to grow up too fast. He stops in the hallway. Emma, tomorrow. Don't. I press my fingers to his lips. Don't tell me what tomorrow looks like. Don't explain the plan or warn me about the dangers. Just promise me you'll come back. I promise. You don't know that you can. Yes, he says simply. I do, because I have too much to come back to now. He kisses me again, softer this time, and I taste the promise in it, the hope, the possibility of something impossible becoming real. When he walks me to my room, he pauses at the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be difficult. Will you tell me the plan? In the morning, after you've slept, after I've finalized everything. He touches my face one more time. Thank you, Emma, for everything, for Sophie, for giving me something to fight for beyond just survival. Don't make me regret this, I say, trying to lighten the heaviness. I'll do my best. He leaves, and I close the door, leaning against it. My phone shows a text from Chloe. There are men in suits following me. Did you do this? I text back. Long story. They're good guys. Let them do their job. I'll explain everything soon. I promise. Then I pull up my banking app again. The $10,000 is still there, real and impossible. I think about Dante's words, about hope, about protection, about a man who spent 7 years drowning in grief and obligation finding something worth living for. I think about Sophie's laugh and her trust and her request for me to stay. I think about how 3 days ago, my biggest worry was paying rent on time. 3 days ago feels like a lifetime. The next morning, I wake to find Dante already gone. Rosa brings me coffee and breakfast in the sunroom, where Sophie is coloring pictures of flowers. Mr. Caruso left early, Rosa says carefully. He said to tell you the meeting is at 2 this afternoon. He'll be back by noon to brief you. Brief me on what? On your role in today's resolution. She sets down the coffee, her expression worried. Miss Emma, be careful. What he's planning, it's dangerous, even with all his precautions. I trust him. I know you do. I can see it in how you look at him. Rosa's voice softens. Just remember that trust in this world can be both a shield and a weapon. Make sure you know which one you're holding. Sophie interrupts by showing me her drawing a picture of 3 figures holding hands. One tall, one small, one medium-sized. Labels underneath. Daddy, M.E., Miss, E.M.M.A. It's us, she announces proudly. We're a family now. My throat tightens. Sophie, honey, I'm just visiting. I have my own home, remember? But you could stay. Daddy likes you. I like you. Rosa likes you. She counts on her fingers. That's everybody who matters. It's not that simple. Why not? Grown-ups always say things aren't simple, but they are. You just choose. She goes back to coloring. I choose you to stay. I look at Rosa, who shakes her head with a slight smile. 5 years old and already smarter than all of us. That's terrifying. That's Dante's daughter. The morning passes slowly. I help Sophie with more drawings, read her books, play elaborate games involving stuffed animals and imaginary adventures. Normal activities in an abnormal situation. At 11:30, one of Dante's men, a younger guy named Tony, appears in the playroom. Miss Sterling? Boss wants to see you in the study. Marco will stay with Sophie. My stomach drops, but I nod. Okay. Sophie grabs my hand. You're coming back, right? Of course. I'll be back in time for lunch. Promise, promise. Promise, promise. I follow Tony downstairs, my heart hammering. Whatever Dante's plan is, I'm about to learn my role in it. The study door is closed. Tony knocks once, then opens it. Dante stands behind his desk, dressed in black tactical gear that makes him look every inch the dangerous man he is. Maps are spread across the desk, along with what look like surveillance photos and building schematics. Close the door, he tells Tony, who obeys immediately. We're alone. You look terrified, Dante observes. I am terrified. You're wearing tactical gear. There are guns everywhere, and I'm pretty sure I'm about to be asked to do something insane. Not insane, strategic. He moves around the desk. Volkov expects you to show up at the warehouse at noon with Sophie. That's not happening. Instead, you're going to show up alone. Alone? With Volkov's men waiting to kill me? With my men in position to protect you. The warehouse has been under surveillance since last night. I know exactly how many people Volkov has inside. Exactly where they're positioned. Exactly how to neutralize them. Neutralize. Kill, he says bluntly. I'm not going to lie to you about what this is, but you'll be safe. I promise. How can you promise that? He pulls out a small device, something that looks like a modified phone. This is a tracker and panic button. You wear it on your body. The moment you feel unsafe, you press it. My team moves in immediately. You'll also be wearing a vest under your clothes. Kevlar. It won't stop everything, but it'll keep you alive long enough for extraction. Extraction. You're talking about this like a military operation. Because it is. Dante hands me the device. Volkov wants a meeting. I'm giving him one. But on my terms, not his. You walk in, tell him Sophie escaped, that you couldn't deliver her. He'll be angry, probably threatening. That's when I make my move. And if something goes wrong, if he doesn't believe me, Dante pulls me close, his hands framing my face. Nothing will go wrong. I've planned for every contingency. I have snipers positioned with line of sight on every entrance. I have teams ready to breach from 3 different directions. I have electronic warfare assets jamming all communications. Volkov will be isolated, contained, and eliminated before he can hurt you. You're very confident. I'm very prepared. There's a difference. His thumb traces my cheekbone. Emma, I wouldn't ask you to do this if there was any other way. But Volkov needs to see you, needs to believe he's winning. It's the only way to draw him out of hiding. I'm bait. You're the key to ending this war, to making Sophie safe, to stopping a man who's hurt dozens of people and will hurt dozens more if he's not stopped. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of it. If I do this, if I walk into that warehouse, you promise you'll come back? That Sophie won't lose you too? I promise. I have too much to come back for now. He kisses me, fierce and desperate, and I taste the fear underneath his confidence. He's scared too, scared of losing what we've barely begun to build. When we break apart, he rests his forehead against mine. One more thing, he says, after this is over, after Volkov is dealt with and you're safe, I want to take you on a date. Despite everything, I laugh. A date? That's what you're thinking about right now? A real date. Not fleeing from criminals, not hiding in safe houses. Just you and me and dinner and conversation like normal people. His dark eyes hold mine. Assuming you want that. I want that. I whisper. God help me, I want that. Then let's end this so we can have it. The warehouse is exactly what I expected. Industrial, abandoned, perfect for an ambush. Tony drives me in an unmarked sedan, parking 3 blocks away. I'm wearing jeans, a sweater, and underneath, the Kevlar vest that makes me feel simultaneously protected and terrified. The tracker device is clipped to my bra, hidden but accessible. You sure about this? Tony asks. He's been assigned as my close protection, and I can see he's not thrilled about sending me in alone. No, but I'm doing it anyway. Boss says you're brave. Stupid, but brave. He almost smiles. For what it's worth, you'll be covered every second. We won't let anything happen to you. Thanks. I get out of the car and walk toward the warehouse, each step feeling like I'm approaching a cliff's edge. The building looms ahead, all broken windows and rusted metal. A door hangs open, an invitation or a trap, probably both. I can feel eyes on me. Dante's snipers, I hope, but probably Volkov's guards too. My phone buzzes. A text from Dante. I see you. You're doing great. Remember, press the button the moment you feel unsafe. I'll be there in seconds. I text back. Don't die. Sophie needs you. I need you. His response is immediate. Promise. I slip the phone back in my pocket and walk through the open door. The warehouse interior is dim, lit by gaps in the roof where sunlight streams through. Crates are stacked everywhere, creating a maze of shadows and hiding spots. Miss Sterling. Volkov's voice echoes from somewhere ahead. So good of you to come. I follow the sound, my heart hammering. He's waiting in a cleared area in the center of the warehouse, surrounded by 6 men, all armed, all watching me with the cold assessment of professionals. Dmitry Volkov himself is younger than I expected, maybe 45, with sharp features and eyes that catalog everything. He wears an expensive suit that looks wrong in this industrial setting. I asked you to bring the girl, he says, his accent thick. I see no girl. She ran. I force my voice steady. Last night, Caruso's security was changing shifts, and she slipped out. By the time anyone noticed, she was gone. It's a terrible lie, but it's the one we planned. Volkov's expression doesn't change. A 5-year-old child escaped from one of the most secure properties in Connecticut? By herself? She's smart. And determined. And terrified of you. As she should be. He moves closer, and I force myself not to step back. Miss Sterling, I'm going to ask you one more time. Where is Sophie Caruso? I don't know. I told you she ran. His hand moves faster than I can track. The slap sends me stumbling, my cheek exploding with pain. Wrong answer. Volkov's voice is calm. Let's try again. Where? The world explodes. Windows shatter as Dante's men breach from every direction. Gunfire erupts, deafening in the enclosed space. Volkov's guards return fire. Muzzle flashes, lighting the dim interior like lightning. I drop to the ground, covering my head, my finger finding the panic button and pressing it repeatedly. Someone grabs me. I scream, but it's Tony, pulling me behind a crate. Stay down, he shouts over the gunfire. Don't move. But I can't see Dante. Can't see if he's safe, if he's hurt, if Volkov's men are Body hits the crate we're hiding behind. One of Volkov's guards, dead, of eyes staring at nothing. I bite back a scream. Boss is securing Volkov, Tony says, his gun trained on the chaos. Just hold on. Almost over. The gunfire is slowing. I risk looking around the crate. Dante has Volkov pinned against a wall, a gun pressed to the Russian's head. His men have secured the remaining guards, the ones still alive. This is how it ends. Dante's voice cuts through the aftermath, cold and final. You broke every rule, went after children, killed civilians, threatened families. The families knew the risks. Even facing death, Volkov sounds defiant. Everyone in this world knows the risks. Not Emma, not Sophie. They weren't part of this world until you dragged them into it. Dante's finger tightens on the trigger. Last words? You think this changes anything? Someone else will take my place. Someone worse. You can't kill your way to peace, Caruso. No, Dante agrees. But I can kill my way to protecting what's mine. The gunshot is deafening. Volkov drops. And just like that, it's over. Tony escorts me out while Dante's men handle the cleanup. I don't ask what cleanup means. Don't want to know. Dante finds me outside, leaning against the car, trying to stop shaking. You're hurt. His hands are gentle as he examines the bruise blooming on my cheek where Volkov hit me. Rage flickers in his eyes. I should have killed him slower. You killed him. That's what matters. My voice sounds distant, shocky. Is it really over? It's over. Volkov's dead. His organization will fracture without him. The other families have agreed to absorb his territory peacefully. Dante pulls me close. You're safe. Sophie's safe. It's over. I lean into him, letting his strength hold me up. I've never seen anyone die before. I know. I'm sorry you had to see it today. He strokes my hair. But you were incredible. You walked in there knowing the danger. You played your part perfectly. You helped end a war. I hit a button and hid behind a crate. You trusted me to protect you. That took more courage than anything else. He pulls back to look at me. Come on. Let's go home. Sophie's probably driving Rosa crazy waiting for us. Home. He called the safe house home. And the terrifying thing? It feels right. The first thing Sophie does when we walk through the door is run straight into my arms. Miss Emma, you're back. She pulls back to look at my face, and her smile falters. Why is your face hurt? I bumped into something. I lie, forcing a smile. But I'm okay. Dante watches from the doorway, guilt written across his face. He knows I got hurt because of his world, his war, his choices. After Sophie goes to bed that night, he finds me on the terrace. I'm sorry, he says quietly. You shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have been hit. This is exactly why I kept Sophie hidden all these years. But it's over now. Volkov's gone. This time. But what about the next threat? The next person who decides, hurting people I care about is the best way to get to me? He turns to face me. Emma, I'm trying to build something better, cleaner, moving away from all of this. But it takes time. How much time? 5 years, maybe 10, to completely legitimize everything. His voice drops. I want you there to see it, to be part of it. But I understand if you can't wait that long. The weight of it crashes over me. I need time to think. I need to go home, back to my real life, and figure out if I can actually do this. Disappointment flashes across his face, but he nods. How long? A week, maybe 2. And Sophie? I'll come back to see her, to explain. I'm not abandoning her. I meet his eyes. I'm just trying to be smart about this. He steps closer, his hands gentle on my shoulders. Smart would have been walking away the moment you saw fire. Smart would have been never getting in that SUV with a stranger. Smart would have been 1,000 things you didn't do because your heart led instead of your head. Are you saying I should ignore my instincts now? I'm saying your instincts saved my daughter. Maybe they know something your logic doesn't. He releases me. But I won't pressure you. Take your time. Figure out what you need. Just promise you'll come back and tell me either way. I promise. Leaving the next morning is harder than I expected. Sophie cries. Actually sobs. You said you'd stay. Everyone leaves. Mama left and Victor left and now you. I'll visit, sweetheart. I promise. But my words feel hollow against her tears. She pulls away from me, her small face crumpling. You're a liar. Adults always lie. She runs to Dante, burying her face against his leg. I hate this. I hate everything. Dante lifts her, holds her while she cries, his eyes meeting mine over her shaking shoulders. The look on his face isn't accusatory, but it cuts deeper than any blame could. It's understanding, acceptance, the resignation of a man who expected loss, because loss is all he's ever known. Rosa will pack you some breakfast for the drive, he says quietly. Tony's bringing the car around. I want to stay, want to take it all back, want to tell Sophie it's okay, that I'm not leaving forever. But the words stick in my throat because what if I am? What if I go back to Brooklyn and realize this whole thing was a beautiful, dangerous dream I need to wake up from? The drive to the train station is silent. Dante keeps one hand on the wheel, the other holding Sophie, who's fallen into that exhausted sleep that comes after crying too hard. At the platform, he carefully transfers Sophie to Rosa's arms. She came along to take Sophie home while Dante sees me off. Take all the time you need, he says, his voice carefully neutral. But Emma? Come back. Even if it's just to say goodbye properly. She deserves that. So do I. I will. I promise. He kisses my forehead, and I taste salt. I don't know if the tears are his or mine. As the train pulls away, I watch him standing on the platform, hands in his pockets, looking more alone than any person should look. I cry the entire way back to Brooklyn. Back in my apartment, everything feels wrong. The rooms are too small, the walls too thin. I can hear my neighbors arguing through the bedroom wall, and the sound makes me miss the quiet of Connecticut, the space, the garden where Sophie played. My first shift back at the diner is a disaster. I drop 2 orders, snap at a regular customer, and burn myself on the coffee pot because I'm not paying attention. You okay, hun? Susan, my manager, asks during my break. You seem distracted. Just tired. I'll be fine. But I'm not fine. Nothing is fine. I go through the motions of my life like a ghost. Teaching feels hollow. The kids in my class seem loud and demanding in ways that never bothered me before. I keep looking for Sophie's face in the crowd, keep expecting to see her raise her hand with another question. Chloe finds me, crying in the kitchen 3 days later. You love him, she says simply, sitting beside me with 2 mugs of tea. I barely know him. You know enough, and you love that little girl. She pushes a mug toward me. The question isn't whether you love them. It's whether you're brave enough to choose that life. What if I'm not? What if I'm just a kindergarten teacher who got swept up in something too big for her? Then you would have left when Volkov's man first showed up. You would have called the police and walked away and never looked back. Chloe takes my hand. But you didn't. You ran toward danger because a child needed you. That's not someone who gets swept up. That's someone who chooses brave even when it's terrifying. His world is so different from mine. So, your world is about teaching kids to share crayons. His world is about, okay, I don't actually know what his world is about because you won't give me details. But the point is, you can live in both. You don't have to choose one or the other. Don't I? No. You choose him and Sophie. Everything else is just logistics. She squeezes my hand. Emma, I've known you since college. I've watched you struggle and save and sacrifice for years to build this life. And in all that time, I've never seen you this alive. Even miserable and crying in our kitchen, you're more present than you've been in forever. Because I'm falling apart. Because you're finally feeling something bigger than just survival. She stands, pulling me up with her. Go to bed. Sleep on it. But Emma, I think you already know what you're going to do. You're just scared to admit it. That night, my phone rings. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I answer. Miss Sterling. Dmitry Volkov's voice makes my blood run cold. I have a proposition for you. He wants me to bring him Sophie. Tomorrow. Noon. A warehouse in Queens. And if I don't? Your friend Chloe dies. The marketing girl. Pretty thing. Very predictable. Schedule. He pauses. Noon tomorrow, Miss Sterling. Don't be late. The line goes dead. My hands shake as I stare at the phone. He found Chloe. He's threatening to kill her unless I betray Dante and Sophie. I should call the police. Should call Dante. Should do anything except what I'm about to do. I'm reaching for my jacket when the apartment door opens. Marco fills the doorway, his expression grim. Miss Sterling. Who was on the phone? How did you? Boss said to watch you. Said Volkov might try something. He steps inside, closes the door. What did he want? I tell him everything. The warehouse. The ultimatum. Chloe's life hanging in the balance. Marco's already on his phone. Boss, we have a problem. 10 minutes later, I hear tires screech outside. Heavy footsteps thunder up the stairs. Dante storms into my apartment, still in the suit he probably wore to some business meeting. Fury and fear wore on his face. You were going to go to him, he says, his voice dangerously quiet. He threatened Chloe. Chloe has 2 of my best men watching her. She's been under protection since you left. I wasn't taking chances. He crosses to me in 3 strides, grabs my shoulders. She's safe, but you were about to get yourself killed. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You didn't trust me to handle it. You just decided to play hero again. His grip tightens, not painful but desperate. Emma, did you really think I wouldn't protect everyone connected to you? Your friend, your coworkers, Mrs. Henderson, everyone? I'm not used to people protecting me. I'm used to being the one who protects others. Well, get used to something different. Because you're mine to protect now. That means you don't make decisions without me. You don't take risks without backup. You definitely don't walk into traps set by Russian mobsters. So what do? His expression shifts, becomes cold and calculating. We end this. Tomorrow. I'm giving Volkov what he wants, just not how he expects it. The next day, I walk into that warehouse wearing a wire and a Kevlar vest hidden under my clothes. Volkov is waiting in the center, surrounded by 6 armed men. He's younger than I expected, sharp-featured and cold-eyed. Miss Sterling, I asked you to bring the girl. She escaped. I lie, my voice steadier than I feel. Last night, Dante's security was changing shifts and she slipped out. She's gone. His expression doesn't change. A 5-year-old escaped from one of the most secure properties in Connecticut? She's smart and terrified of you. His hand moves faster than I can track. The slap sends me stumbling, my cheek exploding with pain. Stars burst across my vision. Wrong answer. Let's try again. Where is Sophie Caruso? I taste blood. I told you. She ran. Then the world explodes. Windows shatter as Dante's men breach from every direction. Gunfire erupts, deafening in the enclosed space. I drop to the ground like Dante taught me, covering my head, pressing the panic button clipped to my bra. Someone grabs me, I scream, but it's Tony, pulling me behind a crate. Stay down, don't move. Through the chaos, I see Dante. He moves like violence personified, taking down Volkov's men with terrifying efficiency. Then he has Volkov himself pinned against a wall, gun pressed to the Russian's temple. This is how it ends, Dante says, his voice cutting through the aftermath. You broke every rule. Went after children, killed civilians, threatened families. Someone else will take my place, Volkov says, defiant even facing death. Someone worse. Maybe. But they'll know what happens to people who threaten what's mine. The gunshot is deafening. Volkov drops. It's over. That night, back at the safe house, I can't stop shaking. Dante finds me in the guest room, staring at nothing. He sits beside me, doesn't speak, just pulls me against his chest and lets me fall apart. I've never seen anyone die before, I whisper. I know. I'm sorry you had to see it. But Emma, he tilts my face up, his thumb gentle on my bruised cheek. You were incredible. You walked in there knowing the danger. You trusted me to keep you safe. You helped end a war. By pressing a button and hiding behind a crate. By being brave enough to let someone else fight for you. That's harder than fighting yourself. He kisses my forehead. You spent your whole life taking care of everyone else. It's okay to let someone take care of you for once. Later, after I've showered and changed, Sophie appears in my doorway in her unicorn pajamas. Miss Emma, are you staying now? I open my arms and she runs into them. Yeah, sweetheart, I'm staying. Promise, promise? Promise, promise. She falls asleep in my bed, curled against my side like she belongs there. Maybe she does. I find Dante on the terrace hours later, after carefully extracting myself from Sophie's grip. I love you, I say without preamble. I know it's fast and probably crazy, but it's true. I love you and I love Sophie and I want this life even though it terrifies me. His smile transforms his face. I love you too. Have since you stood in front of my daughter with a stapler and refused to back down. That was 10 days ago. Sometimes 10 days is enough. He pulls me close. Sometimes you just know. 6 months later, everything has changed. Sophie attends Sunshine Kindergarten now, in my class. Every morning, I get to watch her arrive with Dante, who drops her off with the other parents like it's the most normal thing in the world. Mrs. Henderson almost had a heart attack when Dante Caruso walked into her office to discuss enrollment. But his donation to the school's renovation fund helped ease her concerns. That and watching how gentle he is with Sophie, how he treats me like I'm precious. Dante proposed last month. Nothing elaborate, just us in the garden while Sophie secretly watched from her window. A simple ring and a simple pace. Question: will you build this new life with me? I said yes, before he finished asking. We're getting married in the spring. Something small and private. Rosa's already planning everything with Sophie as her very enthusiastic assistant. My dress has been chosen. Sophie insisted on seeing all the options and vetoing anything she deemed not princess enough. The biggest surprise? How normal it all feels. I still live in Brooklyn during the week, though my apartment is bigger now, Dante insisted, especially after the 3rd time my pipes burst. I teach 5 days a week. Work at the diner on weekends when I'm not in Connecticut. Dante's businesses are increasingly legitimate. He's sold off the questionable operations, invested heavily in real estate and technology. He still has enemies. You don't just walk away from that world unscathed, but the violence is rare now, manageable. Sophie goes to kindergarten and has playdates and doesn't know her father. Used to be someone people feared. She just knows he's daddy, who reads her stories and pushes her on swings and loves her more than anything. And she knows I love her too. Calls me Mama Emma now, which makes Dante's eyes get suspiciously bright every time he hears it. Some nights I think about the warehouse, about Volkov's body hitting the ground, about the violence that bought this peace. But then I feel Dante's arms around me, hear Sophie's laughter echoing through whichever home we're in, and remember, this is what choosing brave looks like. It's not perfect. Some of Dante's business associates still make me nervous. There are still guards, still protocols, still moments when I remember the world we live in isn't entirely safe. But it's ours. The doorbell rings at 7, like clockwork. Daddy! Sophie runs to answer it, throwing herself at Dante the moment the door opens. Hey, little bird. Good day at school? The best. I helped Miss Emma with story time, and Marcus finally learned to share the crayons. His eyes find mine over her head, and the love in them still makes my breath catch after all these months. That does sound like the best day. He sets Sophie down, moves to kiss me. Hi. Hi yourself. Rough day? Long meeting. But I'm here now. He loosens his tie. What's for dinner? Spaghetti. Sophie's request. My favorite. He grins at his daughter, who beams back. This is my life now. Teaching during the week. Family dinners most nights. Weekends in Connecticut with the man I love and the daughter who chose me as much as I chose her. We eat together, the 3 of us, talking about school and work and the butterfly Sophie saw on the playground. Normal things, family things. After dinner, Dante helps Sophie with her homework while I clean up. Through the kitchen doorway, I watch them bent over her workbook, Sophie's tongue poking out in concentration, Dante patiently explaining addition for the 3rd time. This is the man I was afraid of 6 months ago. This gentle father who counts on his fingers with his daughter and celebrates when she gets the answer right. Later, after Sophie's tucked in, Dante finds me on the couch with papers spread around me, lesson plans for next week. You're glowing, he observes, settling beside me. I'm grading kindergarten work. There's nothing glow-worthy about that. You're happy. That's the glow. He pulls me against his side. I love seeing you like this. Content. Safe. Home. Which home? I tease. I have 2 now. Whichever one I'm in. He kisses my temple. Thank you. For what? For being brave enough to choose this. Choose us. Choose Sophie. Choose Sophie. His voice roughens slightly. For showing me that happy endings aren't just in fairy tales. We're not at the ending yet. We're just getting started. Even better. Is it the life I planned? No. Is it the life I want? Absolutely. I saved his daughter from kidnapping. He saved me from a life half-lived. And together, we built something. Neither of us knew we were allowed to want. A family. A future. A love that survived fire and fear and every reason it shouldn't work. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is run toward danger instead of away from it. Sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. And sometimes, just sometimes, the happy ending finds you when you stop looking for it and start fighting for it instead. 4 days changed everything, but the rest of our lives will be spent proving that those 4 days were just the beginning. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.